Testing, testing. Sweet. Cool. Sweet. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. My name is Josh and welcome to a retrospective on marketing in games. Here's what we'll be learning at the end of this. Defining the game, understanding your market, creating your brand, how to make a timeline, PR, and tools of the trade. Okay, so when it comes to game development, it all starts with one thing, the game idea. Whether it be a platform or RPG of sorts, it only starts with this one idea from one person. And the key thing about it when it comes to making your game a reality is understanding its value proposition. This comes from the business school where what does your product, or in this case your game, stand out? What makes it different from any other platformer or any other RPG of sorts? Two prime examples of this would be Shovel Knight from Yacht Club Games and Cuphead. Shovel Knight was made as a passion project by a bunch of other developers worldwide after experiencing years upon years of hyper-realistic 3D games, and they just wanted to make something simple, something that pays homage to the classic age of 8-bit, 8 to 16-bit 2D platformers. Likewise, with Cuphead, it's more of something that goes against all the standard of the recent norms in Western society. As you can see with animated films nowadays, especially in the Western front, they're all about computer generated 3D models. Cuphead is something that goes back to its roots and makes a game based on 2D hand-drawn animation. This goes back to the schools of Hanna-Barbera, or even the older Disney games, not Disney games, but Disney cartoons. It tries its hardest to bring back the good side of what was originally common art style in the 1920s in the olden days. Another case study for this would be this thing, No Man's Sky. To those who don't know, No Man's Sky was originally designed to be a single player RPG where you get to explore this procedurally generated world. Now you can name a whole slew of other Explorer games like The Witness, Journey, and all these other games. What makes No Man's Sky stand out is that it's procedurally generated. Each and everything was made by some algorithm to make an infinite, thousands upon thousands of worlds that are unique by a certain rule set and gives enough content for the player to explore for lifetimes upon lifetimes. And I'm just staying quiet mainly for Hmm. Hmm. Cool. Now that was a nice trailer for a very controversial game. It's very controversial mainly due to bad marketing and just some bad press from from miscommunication with developers and all the other people. But this is a good example of what makes No Man's Sky unique. Now, as I said before, there are all sorts of other exploring games, from The Witness to Journey to What Remains of Edith Finch. What makes No Man's Sky unique is that it's not just one game world. It's in one game universe with thousands upon thousands of planets and galaxies to explore, all generated by this one algorithm that makes it unique to any game. Give me a sec. Oh no. Yeah. But anyways, going back from just cycling through there. That's what makes No Man's Sky unique. Instead of going through the norm and having all the games, having all the plans be hand drawn from multiple instances by modelers or people of this or by people. It's made by an algorithm. It's made by some code generated within the engine that creates these thousands upon thousands of worlds under a certain rule set, and each and every one of them is unique, or as unique as the algorithm can define it to be. Last I checked, it was still pretty barren and still pretty okay, but from what I've been hearing recently, it's now more fun than ever. It'll be interesting exercise for you guys. When you make your idea, or when you pitch your idea, what makes it unique from any other game? What can you bring from your game that only you can make from your competitors and other games in the market? Speaking of the market, the market is essentially your core audience. The market is what you consider, or is what you're going to be targeting when it comes to publishing your game. To understand your market, you need to answer these questions. Who do you want to play your game? Is it going to be casual people, or the people the average Joe who goes for the 9 to 5 and just plays occasionally along with other responsibilities? Or is it the hardcore gamer, the people who dedicate 9,000 hours to get this one plate for this one armor set that they've been coveting for months? Not just talking about Monster Hunter here, but yeah, that's the first question. Is it going to be more for gamers, or is it going to be more for non-gamers? The second question would be, which demographic are you targeting? Is it going to be dedicated for? Is it going to be more targeted for females? Or is it going to be targeted more for men, children under 13s, or is it going to be more 13 and over, and you can finally allow swearing in your game? Trust me when I say that the ESRB is an entire presentation all in itself, and to understand what the heck are going on. But the key thing I'm going to be teaching you guys during this tutorial is niche audiences. Niche audiences are essentially the core, these tens of hundreds of people that don't really represent your community overall, but dedicate their entire time to researching every nook and cranny of your game, and not just your game, but also about User Studio and all the other and any other ways they can modify it. Whether it be Dino enthusiasts, Metroidvania fans. These are the core people that are going to be. These are the key people you kind of want to consider. A prime example of this would be Path of Titans. Path of Titans is a dinosaur game. It's a dinosaur exploring game made by Alderon Games, some game dev studio over at the U.S. Now, as I've noted, they have, there's already their main mission is to make the next scientifically accurate game. Unfortunately, they've already been too late because there's already some games in the PC market that already succeeds this role in the form of Saurian, the Isle, not really Primal Carnage, but no, those are just to name a few. The difference between Path of Titans and all of those other games is Path of Titans also intends to release this game on mobile, Mac, and Linux. So they recognized the competition. They knew what the community was like, and they saw an opening because there's not that many 3D exploring games that are on the mobile and that are on the app and Play Store that tries to mimic the same experience that you can get from the PC. I tried the demo a few days ago. It's good. It's still a bit more. It still needs some refinement, but they are getting there in terms of trying to mimic the experience from the PC onto mobile. Now, a bit of a tangent here. The niche. This is the one thing key note. This is one key thing I want to bestow upon you guys. The niches are key. This graph here shows what's usually known in the business school as the customer onboarding process. So you have this process where you cast out your idea or you broadcast your idea all over all over the market, all over the place, either through social media, billboards, you name it. You paste your game there, and people will know it. But the key thing to note here is, even though people know it, you don't really expect everyone to pick up your game almost instantly. You expect them to scrutinize it a bit, observe it some more, and it's literally only those considering after you refine your target and understand your market and your game, that you get to hone in on the exact people you're trying to target. In the case of Path of Titans, they're targeting people who are interested in dinosaurs. Who are interested in dinosaurs and trying to make it as scientifically accurate as possible. This isn't to say that the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park are scientifically accurate. I believe they've already explained themselves by saying they've spliced enough DNA into the creatures that it's almost impossible to make it scientifically accurate nowadays. But yeah, so that's an interesting task so that's the market and defining your game. Why don't we take a few minutes and reflect on the following questions. What is your game idea? How can you make it different from any other games that have the similar genre or that are of the same genre? And what is your target? What is your market? Who are you wanting to make this game for? Is it for the casual people, or is it for children? Is it for adults? I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to reflect on that, and then we'll be back for the other stuff. Well, okay, we're back, and that's a nice few minutes. Hope you guys wrote it down on a piece of paper somewhere, and feel free to put it in the comments below, or post it on our socials when to discuss about your idea and like. So moving on. Give me a sec. Yeah. Okay. Defining your brand. Okay, now this is about to answer some of the key questions here, some of the real hard questions here when it comes to you as a developer or as a budding game dev studio. Because when it comes to releasing your first game, it's never about when it comes to releasing your first game, it's never about just the one game. It's about thinking of, it's also about considering what goes beyond the first game. So in order to do that, you need to understand who are you, what what is your role in the development of this game? Are you going to be more the project manager, or are you going to be more of the programmer or the artist? And when it comes to defining your brand, not only as a developer but as a studio, what kind of games will people expect from you? Is it going to be more? Is it going to be mainly? It's going to be mainly mobile games for a casual market, or is it going to be more? Is it going to be more varied with with the trend of being only for the people who are willing to go for the challenge and go beyond and go above and beyond when it comes to dedicating their time for a game. Prime examples from this would be Cly Studios. Cly Studios is a game dev studio over at Canada, if I'm correct, and they're known for many things. They're known for a few mobile games I can't name off the top of my head, but they're also known for one series in particular, Don't Starve. Don't Starve is completely different from say Diablo, not Diablo, but Snake Pass. Something that's very child friendly, and something that's very calm and peaceful. Don't Starve is completely opposite of that. It's very dark. It's very morbid when it comes to humor, and it's somewhat difficult because the goal of the game is to survive against these many threats and so on and so forth. What Clyde did was not really stick themselves to a certain niche or a certain norm when it comes to developing their games. They instead went beyond that and made their mission statement to be we're a studio that makes good quality games with humor and fun. So whether it be whether it be a dark survival horror game or a lighthearted action adventure game, best best be sure that the story is gonna be humorous, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be engaging, and it's gonna be something that all everyone can enjoy. Likewise, Likewise, there's a few other studios that knows their market and knows how to pro, knows how to engage with the niche. From Software. Have you guys ever heard of the Dark Souls series? Okay, for those who don't know, Hidetaka Miyazaki is a well-known game designer and is well known for his contributions for a series made by H.P. Lovecraft, and that's a series that deals with existential horror, existential dread, understanding that you are just one tiny cog in a giant absurd machine, and there's a bigger threat for you. There's something bigger out there that's just enjoying their life. From Software makes it their mission to create this punishing, challenging games that forces the player to think back and to think, to reflect, and parry their way to victory. Well, that's one of them. But the main mission is to teach players on how to overcome the challenges they overcome the challenges they get from the game and have some form of satisfying end. Whether it be linking the fire to light the new age, or defeating the one boss that has been tormenting you for the past few weeks, it's best to know that From Software is a game studio that dedicates themselves to challenging the players rather than hand-holding them like in certain other games. I'm not gonna name names here. There's a few other games here. There's a few other studios here you guys can research on, but I also attached an article that I found on Gama Sutra a few days ago, talking about mottos, mantras, and mission statements to branding your studio. From my understanding is that you shouldn't really have the name, you shouldn't really have the words games or studio on your company name, because you might be mistaken for some other thing. I only skimmed it a bit, but yeah, feel free to read it once I publish the slides to the Google Drive later. Yeah, okay, cool. Marketing timeline. The one key thing that I'll bestow upon you as that I've learned from as a developer myself, both in game and software dev, is that timelines are key. Whether it be timeline for marketing your game, or timeline to understand, to knowing when to make the final changes on a certain site. The timelines are important to know when the deadline is and how hard, and know when to prioritize what. Because trust me when I say, if you don't have any timeline, you don't have any deadline on any project, you'll just end up forgetting about it in the process, and you only work when you want to do it. But yeah, going back to the topic, marketing timelines. When it comes to marketing your game, there's this thing that most people start consider when it comes to promoting their game. The common practice I've noticed that most people want to promote their games when it's 70 to 80% there, i.e., when it's good enough and polished enough for people to playtest and be and promoted relentlessly before its final launch. That's the most common thing I've noticed, and that's one common thing that most indie devs and studios do. One other thing would be shadow dropping a game without any form of announcement at all. But I don't recommend this, because unless you're Metroid or any form of classic games, you're not gonna get any form of attention or anything, or views when it comes to your first few weeks as your game was released. The one thing that there's this other strategy called pre-marketing. This is when it's just either the game idea is just formed, or a rough build of the game is made. This is a good pre-marketing is good if your idea is solid enough and you have a link to the game's design, whether it be a game design document of sorts, or a rough demo using pre-made assets or anything similar. So long as it's something that people can engage with and can latch themselves onto, then there's a chance that people will follow it relentlessly from day one up until final release. It's a bit of a gamble when it comes to promoting your games like that, but as far as I can tell, it is one way to do it, and there have been a few success stories about it. I haven't, off the top of my head, I can't really remember any. Don't really know any games that fall along that idea, but. And yeah, creating this strategy for a game. Okay, this is going back from what I said from the marketing timeline. Knowing when to release your game is key to how dedicated you are when it comes to making your game. If you know this is time when you need to know what are the other games in the market are planning to release their games, or when have they released their games. Because if it's a holiday game, it's best to release it on holiday time. If it's something unique and something that can revolutionize the industry, pick a time that won't be affected by any form of holiday sale, be that summer sale or Christmas sale. It's best not to release it during that time, because even though you will get you will get some people interested in your game, there's a lot of other people that are willing to buy the AAA titles because they're cut down to a certain price, or AAA titles of the past. So pick a date and time where it's good. The market is where there's a lot of good numbers and a lot of good people viewing the stores or anything like that. And the other thing would be understanding the competition. You need to, as a indie developer or as an indie studio, it's good to know what is your competition going to doing during this time. When are they planning to release a game? Are there any hints they're landing on social media or anything like that? That's a good way to know. It's good to know when your competition is going to be releasing their game, so that you don't share the same date when it comes to releasing your game. And the third and final point would be, when is enough? This is more for reflecting on what you want to do after the game is released. Do you want to do more DLC? Do you want to make a sequel, or do you want to make another game? Because this will be a nice thing to consider after you're working with this team for so long. Because especially in the indie dev scene, most teams either go their separate ways, or just continue on and continue building upon their love child that is the game they released, either through DLC or engaging the community, or community engagement, or anything of the sort. Prime example on this would be Owlboy, well, more Undertale, because even now it still has a very good hardcore community dedicating themselves to Toby Fox's game. But anyways, moving on. PR. As the good old Bob Ross says, there's no such thing as mistakes, just happy accidents. Likewise in PR, there's no such thing as bad PR, there's just good PR. These are the things that you feed to people, either through social media posts, news articles, or even a rough demo of the game. Just remember that there's no such thing as mistakes, just happy accidents. You'll see why in a bit. Remember this goose? Remember this goose that was released around holiday 2019. This goose was made as a gag by the development team over in Australia. They never really took it seriously. Heck, they never even gave it a title. And yet this goose became the massive meme of 2019. It should have won the Game Awards, but like a good meme, it does fizzle out. And truth be told, it actually still has a very dedicated community, and doesn't really. And this is a good example of somewhat bad PR turned right because House, the developers of Untitled Goose Game, never really intended their game to be never really intended the game to be this famous, but after a few memes released from the internet, it just went wild and have now sold above and beyond 1 million copies. This is the future of game dev, folks. It's not about making some form of impact through some revolutionizing technology. It's all about making the greatest meme ever. It's about making memes, never about taking names. Okay, so yeah, that's PR. And there's a few ways to do PR. The most common way to do PR would be community outreach, because a game is nothing without its support from the community. So one common way to do this would be either through investigating on social media or Reddit or places like Reddit or Discord, not even Discord, like 4chan, and engage with the community. Ask them what they've seen in the industry. What games have they played? What they liked or didn't like. Once you do that and ask them much more precise questions, you get to have an insight on what are the gaps in the market and what does the community want when it comes to making their game, when it comes to finding the game that fits for them. What are their experiences so far with the genre or market you're targeting. You can also do this as a good way to find potential collaborators, because as seen by this social media posts about sound and media, it's a nice good way. Apart from asking what to expect in the industry, it's also a nice way to say, "Hey, I'm open for collaboration. I have an idea. Does anyone want to hear it?" And here's another example of the GDG, reaching out to people, reaching out to studios reaching out to potential studios in Auckland when it comes to collaboration. Cool. And here comes another way of doing promotions or promoting your game. Ads. Lots of ads. Whether it be from Facebook, Google, or heck, even Tinder now. Don't ask me how that works. It's sad that I know, but don't ask me how that works. But yeah, ads are the biggest net you can cast to promote your game. These ads are the things that are sent to the interwebs and promotes your game through not from just beyond your social network. It just goes beyond your social network, and it's kind of and these are a good way. This is a good way to promote your game because you reach a massive audience and can generate a lot of buzz on your game. One other way to do this would be through. Here's one example of something that's called A/B testing, which is just telling the ad or having a survey and asking the people which design works better. I personally prefer the second one because it's much more aggressive, although the first one does have a very peaceful and calming aura about it. Ads are good to promote your game. However, they are expensive. I have worked with a few marketing companies in the past few years, and The one thing I've noticed, and one of the many things I've noticed, that a lot of them do know how to generate buzz for products or the businesses they work with. But the big problem is that it costs about tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to generate about 10,000 customers or something along those lines. It's hard work. It is hard work. It's hard work. Mm, so yeah, here are some tools that can help you with that. Google Ads and Google Analytics are a good way to to analyze which communities to analyze what keywords to consider when it comes to tagging your game through either Steam or Itch. If you see that if you see 2D is much more has much more has much more searches compared to say 2D games, then you go for one than the other. Ahrefs and SEMrush are another good tool when it comes to search engine optimization, or otherwise known as SEO. This is essentially what them trying to crawl through Google searches and trying to see which one is trending, which one is not, so on and so forth. Facebook Business Manager and SocialBee are good social media tools when it comes to managing your community, or when it comes to managing your face or social media following, or your Facebook or ads for social media. I've used it myself a few times and it's super good. And the other thing would be MailChimp. MailChimp is an email marketing tool. It is a tool used by a lot of companies to make the emails fresh and flashy. Does a lot of good work. It's just well, yeah. Okay, cool. These are some good tools to consider when it comes to you as an indie dev studio, but there are a few ways to mitigate this and be a bit more guerrilla or small scale when it comes to being a indie dev studio. I'm gonna skip a few slides right here, and talk about this event the GDG ran last year called Kiwi Jam. Kiwi Jam is a 48-hour game jam that's run usually in July or somewhere in winter, and people participate to make a game in the span of one weekend. So on Friday night they come together, hang out, mingle, live stream, and wait for the announcement of the theme. Once the theme is announced, they either make a game through there, either by themselves or through a team. And yeah, it's super fun. I participated last 2 years ago, and it's a pretty fun experience. I recommend it for anyone who wants to be for anyone who is interested in game dev, whether it be a hobby developer or someone that wants to turn into a career. It's something interesting. Now, the one thing or one of the few things to note here is that we did do a marketing campaign for Kiwi Jam. We did one small Facebook campaign after getting a few sponsorships and us experimenting with advertising through Facebook ads. It was interesting because we did run an ad campaign for $200 for $200, and by the end of it, we got a reach about 15,000 people. All within the demographics we specified. So all in the demographics we specified. So from 18 to 44-year-olds, someone interested in games, somewhat and interested in creative tech, so on and so forth. But only 3 of them clicked on the link and managed to engage with the site. To some people, those numbers are pretty depressing. But this goes back to my statement in that ads are good. Ads are good, especially if you know who to target. But in order to reach the milestones that you really want to reach, you need to either spend more time or spend more money to get the reaches that you want to get the milestones that you want to reach. So say if you want to run an ad campaign that returns you about 100 people to buy or download your game, then you need to find the right you need to analyze the data and find the right strategy to make your game work. And here's one game that didn't really do that many ads, or didn't do ads at all. Sorian is a game that was released on alpha 4 years ago, and it's made by a team of game developers all over the world. They came together for one goal: to make the greatest scientifically accurate dinosaur game ever. They were the first in their market, and they didn't really do ads. They just engaged with the dinosaur community over on Facebook and over on not just Facebook but Reddit, places like Reddit and 4chan, and generated a lot of buzz through there. And after doing multiple devlogs and multiple newsletters, and they made their first Kickstarter campaign around 2016, and they got 10 times the amount of they wanted. They wanted to get some funding for $50,000. They got funding for 500,000, and that's all without ads. It's just through them. Knowing the community and knowing their market, and having this thing called earned media. Earned media is free. Earned media is media that you don't really own, but it's media that was modified by someone is modified in homage of your product. And that right there is the golden goose. It's never about promoting it through ad campaigns and the like. It's just about knowing the community and engaging with the community enough to know that is your that they will give you the biggest return on investment. Likewise, I believe that's going to be the next steps for Kiwi Jam, because with Kiwi Jam it's going to be a bit more harder, especially during these times, because we don't really expect anyone to go out and go to a networking event anytime soon. Most of it is going to be done through digital. When it comes to networking, it's all about finding the market that you want to go for. So if you want to be a game dev, go to Facebook and just type in game devs Auckland. I'm pretty sure you'll find a few pages that will redirect you to communities that are both supportive and will the most supportive of you, and are very engaged, because it's all about being engaged with the content, or it's all about being engaged in the community. That's all it's about. And for networking, here's a few pointers from me as the GDG's key liaisons on both the student and the industry, is that don't ever act like you're a big shot, or you're you're gonna be the next big thing. Just try to keep yourself humble, I guess. It's not really tall poppy syndrome. It's more like just try to get a read of the room and act accordingly. People, this is a bit embarrassing because this is me just giving key pointers on how I've succeeded when it comes to networking. But just try to keep an open mind and know that there's always going to be someone better than you in the ladder of success. But know that you're doing what you can, you're doing your best. I guess that's like the key thing I'm considering. And it's a bit embarrassing for me giving pointers when it comes to networking, because when it comes to networking, it's just a simple Google search and just finding the key people and just knowing the key people to talk to, I guess. And okay, enough of that. Moving on. To recap, marketing in games consists of knowing your game, loving your game idea, knowing your brand as a studio or as a developer, having a good timeline to know when to release your game and know when to market your game, and having a clear understanding of your audience. This is very important. Because the game is nothing without the community that supports it. Likewise, the community is nothing without the games that comes from them. So in a way, it's a bit of a symbiotic. If you think about it, it's a bit of a symbiotic relationship. If you do good in the community will support you. If the community is good, then you can make a good game out of it. But yeah, so that's it from me. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments below, or feel free to follow our social media at GDG on both Facebook and Twitter. And with that, that's a wrap. Thank you all for listening, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Cheers.